Hi, it's me again, Bill Hall, and it's great to see you back. I can't wait to get started. That's because in this module, I'm going to show you how to get in on the inside track and create wealth in a way that you probably never thought was possible. Think about it. Did you ever imagine you would be able to make money, I mean really big money, watching sports and following your favorite teams? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how. It all starts with having the right information. Then you'll need a framework to interpret that information correctly. And finally, you have to be businesslike in your approach. If you can do these three things, you'll be able to use your behind-the-scenes knowledge of the best coaches, players, and teams to become a sports legend in your own right and to make a ton of money doing what you love. That's why I developed the Get In and Win system, to help you get in on all the fun that is sports and make some real money at the same time. Betting on sports, just like playing sports, is exciting and fast-paced and requires the mastery of many situational strategies. To be successful, proper preparation and precision are essential. That's why it's a must to have a well-thought-out game plan that allows you to execute perfectly and score big when the pressure is on. As any winning coach or athlete will tell you, it's the precise execution of a proven and proper process that produces winning results. That's why I put so much thought into my Get In and Win strategy. It has all the right plays, so you can wager with confidence when the game is on the line. You won't win all the time using my approach. That's unrealistic, and nobody does. But when applied with the right amount of discipline, the Get In and Win approach will provide the strategic advantage you need to earn real profits in the sports betting market over the long term. Here's a guy, Jim Rogers, that knows a thing or two about making money. In fact, he and George Soros founded the Quantum Fund, and that fund earned compound returns of more than, get this, 4,200%. That's right, over 4,200% during a 10-year period in the 1970s. Jim also wrote a book called Hot Commodities, and in it, he explained how trading commodities helped sharpen his money-making skills. In his book, he says,
I suddenly realized that by trading a commodity or two, I began to see the world anew. Suddenly, I was no longer just eating breakfast, but thinking about how the weather in Brazil might cause coffee and sugar prices to go up or down, how Kellogg's stock price would respond to higher corn prices, and whether the demand for bacon cut from pork bellies would decline down during the summer months. Knowing about the commodities markets does much more than make your breakfast more interesting. It makes you a better investor. Once you understand, for example, why the prices of copper, lead, and other metals have been rising, it is only a baby step toward understanding why the economies in countries such as Canada, Australia, Chile, and Peru, all rich in metal resources, are doing well. Why shares in companies with investments in metal-producing countries are worth checking out. Why some real estate prices are likely to rise, and how you might even be able to make some money investing in hotel or supermarket chains in countries where consumers suddenly have more money than usual. If you really want to learn about finance, sell the beans.
And it's the same with sports wagering. It really is the same. That's because once you place a bet on a game, your entire sports experience changes for the better, because you now have a vested interest in the outcome. No longer are you the casual observer sitting in the bleachers, just thinking about how your favorite players or your fantasy team is doing. When you have some money at risk, a really wonderful change occurs. You get closer to the game, and you start to see the game through the eyes of the players, coaches, and general managers. That's right, wagering on a game sharpens your focus and deepens your understanding of the game matchups in a new and exciting way. Placing a bet transforms your perspective from observer to actual participant, taking your knowledge and enjoyment of sports to an entirely new level. I'll say it just like Jim Rogers. If you want to get out of the bleachers and get in the game, learn how to place an informed sports bet. That way you can get fully engaged in the games that you love and start to profit from your passion for sport. Yes, sports are about competition and entertainment, but anyone who follows professional and college sports knows that they are also a big business. Team owners like Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys and Bob Kraft of the New England Patriots have amassed fortunes by marketing and promoting their franchises. Team general managers and athletic directors are compensated like royalty to choose players and coaches for their teams. And then the coaches, like Alabama's Nick Saban, make millions of dollars every year. And the players, well, at least the professional ones, get paid boatloads of money to complete a pass, shoot a basketball, or swing a bat, as well as for endorsing a whole host of products. And we all know that the big money train doesn't end there. Media outlets like ESPN rake in tons of ad dollars and cable subscription fees and employ armies of reporters and commentators, some of whom are as famous as the players and coaches themselves. And licensing deals, well, they fill the coffers of apparel companies and souvenir retailers around the world. Where does all this money come from? The simple answer is, it comes from you, the fan. And you know what? The more the athletes make, the more you pay. But now you don't have to sit on the sidelines and pay. You can get in the game too and make money from your passion for sports. With Get In and Win on your side and a little discipline, you'll soon have the Jerry Joneses, the Bob Krafts, and the Aaron Rodgerses of the NFL putting money in your bank account each week during the football season. College and pro basketball present even more profit-making opportunities. That's because basketball teams play even more frequently. And baseball provides an opportunity to really get your cash flow rolling, because each team plays 162 games during a season that stretches out over almost 7 months. And to make money from sports, all you have to do is learn to make intelligent sports bets. And it gets even better, because not only does sports wagering provide an exciting financial opportunity for players to make real money, I mean real money, but also for recreational bettors who just want to generate some spare cash from their hobby. Yes, wagering on sports does provide a terrific opportunity to make money. But to cash in, you must approach sports betting as if you are investing in the financial markets or running a business. To be successful, you must be disciplined and apply sound money management principles. And above all, you must have a system that provides you with an edge over your competition, which is the other sports bettors. Get In and Win provides that edge. It's a complete game plan that contains the money-making strategies required to successfully compete in the sports wagering markets. It will help you sift through all the reams of sports information that's out there and focus only on the statistics that matter. That way, you won't get bogged down in loads of meaningless information. Get In and Win is inspired by many of the principles found in Michael Lewis's best-selling book, Moneyball, Ben Graham's iconic investment treatise, The Intelligent Investor, and my own individual experiences working on Wall Street. But to be successful at sports wagering, you have to swear not to let yourself be average, at least as it relates to your sports betting activities. Like many forms of investing, sports wagering is a zero-sum game, meaning that for every dollar committed, someone will win the money and someone else will lose it. That's why average sports bettors, over the course of a season, will lose more than they win. And the reason the average bettors lose are primarily a result of incomplete information, bad strategy, and poor money management. But you don't have to be average. Think about it. In all other fields of life, it's taken for granted that some people do things better than others. For example, Stephen Curry shoots a basketball better than anyone in the NBA. Bill Belichick is recognized as a great football coach. Warren Buffett is widely regarded as one of the world's best investors. And Vladimir Yashkany is renowned worldwide as a master pianist and conductor. It's inconceivable to me that anyone would think that sports wagering is different. If you do it well, there's money to be made wagering on sports. Don't let the critics and naysayers try to convince you otherwise. But to do so, you've got to swear an oath not to let yourself be average. That's why I created Get In and Win. It will show you how to break away from the pack and bet smart. By doing so, as I've said, you won't win all the time. No one does, but you'll win far more often than you'll lose. And because you'll be diversifying your bets over many different games each and every week, you're going to reduce your risk of loss and improve your odds of coming out way ahead. But again, to win, you've got to promise not to be average. There are lots of misconceptions out there about sports wagering, so let's get the big one right out of the way first, and that's that sports wagering is not gambling. This is a big deal, so I'll say it again. Sports wagering is not gambling. That's because gambling is nothing but luck. At its core, gambling lacks any knowledge of cause and effect and is simply a game of random chance. When gambling, a player places himself before the unknown and seeks only the grace of the magical deity known as the goddess of good fortune. Popular casino games like roulette, slot machines, and dice are all examples of gambling where skill is completely eliminated and the results are totally random. Gambling is simply hoping that nothing more than a random chance will bring a favorable outcome. Just like those that hope that the lottery or Powerball gods will smile on them and bring them riches. That's gambling. On the other hand, sports wagering involves skill and a reasoned assessment of the odds, especially when it's done in a serious and professional way. Gambling plays no more a part in placing an informed sports bet than it does in deciding how much to pay for a financial instrument known as a call option. Technically speaking, a call option enables an investor to control a specific number of shares of stock without actually owning them for a fixed period of time, usually 3 to 6 months. Wow, that was a mouthful. And investors use call options to leverage their capital, hoping to earn high returns in a short period of time. Yes, an investor could leave it completely to chance when deciding how much to pay for a call option, but that's obviously not the way it's done. Experienced Wall Street professionals like me always make an informed assessment about the price being asked and the likelihood of the desired outcome before exchanging our precious investment capital for an option. In the same way, sensible sports bettors evaluate the odds before placing a wager. That's why an understanding of probability theory and a reasoned judgment as to the likely outcomes are essential for success in both activities. And here's another reason why people confuse sports wagering with gambling. It's the limitations of our language. Here's what I mean. We commonly hear people say, I speculated on that stock, or I traded that stock. But how many times do you hear, I wagered on that stock, or I bet on that stock? Obviously never. Yet they all mean the same thing, which is simply, I exchanged money for the right to own the stock with the expectation of a short-term profit. We could have easily just said, I speculated on the Patriots-Eagles game, or I traded the Patriots-Eagles game. But we don't. It's a cultural thing. So don't let the commonly held misperceptions about sports wagering, many of which are related to terminology, prevent you from getting in the sports wagering game. I'm here to tell you that winning money wagering on sports is not complicated and does not require a stratospheric IQ. But it does require commitment and the gift of time. Why time? Why can't you just jump right in with the hopes of making the big bucks right off the bat? Actually, you can. That's what most people do. They jump right in and start betting without a plan. The problem with that strategy is that without a plan, they're likely to lose a lot of their bets, which then causes them to throw up their hands and say that sports betting is not a winnable game. But that's just not true. Sports betting is indeed a winnable game. But even with my systems, it's a given you will also lose some of your bets. As painful as that might sound, it's a fact that you're going to have to accept. That's because nobody's perfect, and anyone that's great at something will tell you that losing is part of winning, and it's how you react and learn from your losses that will make you successful at sports betting. But with Get In and Win, you'll know what to do when you lose a bet. That way you can bounce back and move on with confidence, knowing that over time, if you put in the right amount of diligence and effort, you are going to win more often than you lose, probably far more often. And here's the big point that I want to make. It's over time, not overnight, that you will see the compounded benefit of placing winning sports bets, especially when you have a winning edge. That's because it's the compounding effect of having an edge, a winning edge, that you are really after. Legend has it that Albert Einstein once said, compounded savings was the greatest invention in human history. Regardless of whether Einstein actually said it or not, investment compounding, which is making money on money, is indeed powerful. It's the one key element that made investment icon Warren Buffett one of the wealthiest people in the world. And as you'll see in just a minute, the power of compounding that's available to the successful sports bettor is many times greater than the compounding effect you can reasonably hope to achieve as a stock market investor. To prove my point, let's take a look at what I call the scorecard, which is really a compounding table for sports wagering. This graphic shows why the potential returns that are available to the informed sports bettor are indeed incredible. Starting with just $1,000 of cash, Scorecard 1.1 presents the annual net winnings that can result from making 20 equal wagers of $50 per week at certain winning percentages or win rates, assuming a 50-week year. This scorecard tells us that if you consistently have a win rate of 60%, you can earn $8,000 on just $1,000 of beginning capital. That means at the end of the year, you would have $9,000, the $1,000 that you started with, plus $8,000 of winnings. We refer to that as an 8 times your money return. Yes, 8 times your money, because you're getting back 8 times your beginning invested capital at the end of the first year. I can tell you that in my 30 years as a professional money manager, I have seen some, but not many, investment opportunities that offer that kind of money-making potential. But before going forward, I need to pause for a minute to define some terms for you. First, I use the term win rate to refer to the percentage of successful wagers that you make. For example, if you place 10 bets and win 6 of them, your win rate will be 60%. Likewise, if you place 20 bets and win 12 of them, you will also have a win rate of 60%. It's vital to know your win rate because it's your win rate combined with the size of your wagers that will ultimately determine your potential net winnings. So it's win rate first and then beginning capital next that hold the keys to a much larger bank account. What do I mean by beginning capital? Beginning capital is defined as the amount of money that you set aside at the beginning of each year or each season to use for your sports wagering activities. Knowing your beginning capital is the cornerstone to managing your money and controlling risk. We're going to discuss risk control and money management in much more detail in another video. Going back to the scorecard, the returns get even more compelling when you start with more beginning capital. In the next scorecard, Scorecard 1.2, we assume that instead of starting with $1,000 and making $50 wagers, you start with $10,000 and make wagers of $500 on each game. As in the first example, let's assume that you make 20 wagers per week. Wow! Scorecard 1.2 tells us that we can earn $80,000 annually on $10,000 of beginning capital if we have a win rate of just 60%. That means at the end of the year, we'll have $90,000. The beginning investment of $10,000 plus our $80,000 of winnings. That's right, $80,000 of winnings on $10,000 of beginning capital with a 60% win rate. What makes me think you can win 60% of your bets anyway? Some would say that's overly optimistic, but I don't think so, especially if you know what you're doing. Remember, get in and win is about sensible wagering. It's not a random coin toss or a 50-50 proposition. And also remember, you've already sworn that you are not going to be average. What's more, you're going to have a better than average chance of winning because you're an informed, business-like bettor, not some well-intentioned fan rooting for the home team or blindly following the odds given by a sportsbook. As I previously said, a 60% win rate means that you win 6 out of every 10 bets. Football and basketball teams that win 6 out of every 10 games are viewed as just above average, not great. But the good news is that in sports wagering, being just above average can earn you a lot, especially if you have the discipline to systematically repeat the process over and over again. As we saw in Scorecard 1.2, a 60% win rate means $80,000 per year with beginning capital of only $10,000. And you only have to put 5% of your investment capital at risk on each game. Now let's talk a minute about risk. Diversification is the most common risk management technique used on Wall Street. And just like on Wall Street, 5% positions diversify your sports bets just enough to maximize your profits on your winning bets while avoiding the wipeout when you lose. We'll talk more about this specifically the 5% rule, in a future video. For now, just know that 5% positions are the right size positions to properly diversify your wagers. Now back to the 60% win rate. In the NFL, a 60% win rate gets you a record of 9-7, sometimes 10-6, a wild card berth, and likely an early exit from the playoffs. Do you think Bill Belichick approaches each season as if his New England Patriots are going to be just above average and finish each season as a 9-7 team? I don't think so. There's no way he thinks that way. As a proven winner and top performer, Bill Belichick has aspirations that are way higher, and so should you, especially since you'll have the get in and win analytics on your side. So let's see what happens when we start to think like Bill Belichick, who begins every season with the goal of winning the Super Bowl. Coach Belichick realizes that to give his team the best opportunity to make a run at the Super Bowl, the Patriots need to win their division so they can secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs. To accomplish his goals, Coach Belichick knows that his team must most likely win at least 12 games during the regular season. A record of 12-4 translates to a winning percentage of 75%, which is obviously what we would expect from a really good football team. Now let's go back to our scorecards and approach sports wagering as if we were Bill Belichick. With Coach Belichick in mind, we would do all that we could to prepare ourselves to have a 75% win rate. We wouldn't be satisfied at 60%. When we look at scorecard 1.2, we see that a win rate of 75% in the sports wagering markets can result in annual winnings of approximately $23,750 if we start with just $1,000 of beginning capital, and an astounding $237,500 annually if we start with $10,000. Wow, wow, wow. And I'll say it one more time, wow. Look at that. When you wager on sports with the same mindset Bill Belichick approaches a football season, it can be really, really rewarding. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every sports bettor can achieve a consistent 75% win rate. In fact, it's highly unlikely that most of you will achieve that level of success. But it's also just as improbable, if not more, for Bill Belichick to achieve the lofty goals that he has achieved in the NFL. That's because the NFL is on average a 50-50 league, where the salary cap has been implemented to ensure parity. This means that in the NFL, there are just as many wins as there are losses, and most teams hover around average, which makes winning consistently a very hard thing to do, a really hard thing to sustain. But in a league where the competition is fierce and there's billions of dollars on the line, Bill Belichick has been able to maintain a winning edge through hard work, dedication, commitment, focus, and discipline. Get this, he's guided his team into 10 AFC championship games over the past 15 years. 10 championship games over 15 seasons. That is incredible. He's obviously sworn to himself not to be an average person. So if he can do it, so can you. But keep in mind that it won't be easy and you've got to stay focused. Now let's look at two more scorecards and see what we could expect to earn from sports betting if we expect the same kind of win-loss record from ourselves as we expect from excellent sports teams. Let's say we're just starting out and we have a 2-year time horizon to build a real winner. And because we're just getting started, our beginning capital is limited to $1,000. Let's also say we expect to make 20 wagers per week, and that in the first year, again, because we are just getting started, we anticipate that out of every 20 bets, we'll win 12 and lose 8. That means we'll have a win rate of 60%, which, as we have just discussed, is just a bit above average. But just like Bill Belichick, our goal is to build a real winner. So we're really going to focus and work really, really hard. So for year 2, we're going to assume our win rate improves to 70% because we have become even smarter bettors, and that we continue to make 20 wagers a week. And let's also assume that we take all of our winnings and our initial capital from the first year and roll it over to the second year. And we can't forget about risk management, which means that even though we want to maximize our profits, we also want to protect ourselves against downside losses. So we'll follow the 5% rule and keep our wagers at a constant 5% of our beginning capital for each season. Now let's run the numbers and see where we would end up at the end of year 2. To recap, these scorecards, that's scorecards 1.3 and 1.4 to be exact, show us what would happen if we were able to achieve a 60% win rate in year 1, and then with the benefit of our first year experience, we're able to increase our win rate to 70% in year 2. You can see for yourself that by rolling over our year 1 winnings of $8,000 and our beginning capital of $1,000 for a total of $9,000 to begin year 2, and then increasing our year 2 win rate to 70%, we are projected to have accumulated approximately $166,500 at the end of year 2, all on an original investment of just $1,000. Now let's say that again. Assuming you start with a capital of $1,000 and you accomplish the same goals as you would when trying to build a winning sports team, the scorecard calculations show that you can earn $166,500 over a 2-year period. I'll admit, this may seem too good to be true, so let's put what you can earn in context. We're talking about the world of sports, where Aaron Rodgers has a contract that pays him $110 million to play quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, where David Price recently signed a 7-year, $217 million contract to pitch for the Boston Red Sox, and where Duke basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski is paid almost $10 million per year to coach the Blue Devils. There is money to be made in professional and college sports, a lot of money, and Get In and Win will show you how to get your share. The key is to understand that the very same statistical models, contrarian strategies, and valuation principles that successful investors like Warren Buffett and others on Wall Street use to make millions of dollars can be applied to sports wagering. But to make money, you need the right mathematical and money management tools. But don't worry, you don't need to be a math or finance whiz to win at sports betting, because I've done most of the heavy lifting for you. Get In and Win focuses your attention on the facts and stats that matter, so you'll have the opportunity to apply your own sports knowledge and get on the winning track. All that remains is for you to approach sports betting in the same way that the Patriots get ready for each football season. They start by establishing a goal. Then they go about achieving it through hard work, preparation, and discipline. So as you have seen, you can risk $1,000 and invest the time and effort required to earn $166,500 over a 2-year period, or you can have no plan and make no money and wind up like the NFL's Cleveland Browns, who just can't ever seem to get it right. In the end, Get In and Win will give you a winning game plan, but your success will depend on the preparation and commitment you put in to win the game. I'm guessing that if you're watching this video, you are already fairly serious about sports. You've probably already played in a fantasy sports league, entered a March Madness bracket pool, and maybe even placed a bet on a game or two. That's because, like me, you're an avid sports fan that's interested in taking your sports knowledge and insights to the next level. And that next level is called a sports book. While you probably never thought about it like this, a sports book is a financial market, just like the New York Stock Exchange or the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's simply a place where prices are signed to the outcome of sporting events, and money is exchanged at a posted price. Many are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're waiting just to cash your winning bets. At first glance, the information posted in a sports book was overwhelming and confusing to me. It reminded me of the first time I picked up the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times and saw all of that mind-numbing financial information. But eventually, with some training and experience, I was able to breeze through all that financial data with ease. In the upcoming modules, I'll lead you on a journey, and on that journey, together we'll defog the sportsbook's crystal ball, so you'll find their postings as easy to understand as a box score for your favorite sport. And when we're done, you'll be armed with a sports betting framework and all the tools necessary to make money wagering on sports, or to become a better fantasy sports player. It's at the conclusion of our journey down the road less traveled, where you'll truly know what it means to place a high-value sports bet, and what Paul Newman's character, Fast Eddie Felson, meant when he said, "Money won is twice as sweet as money earned" in the movie The Color of Money. That brings us to the end of this module. When we next meet again, I'll introduce you to all the interesting players in the sports betting game. Characters like Leonard the Linemaker, Streaking Steve, Louie the Loser, and Last Chance Vance. I'll also reveal the 5 essential elements required to become a successful sports bettor. Until then, have fun, good luck, and may the odds be with you. I'll see you soon.